Before we start this show, just a word from our sponsor, 20 by 20 Apparel. Founded in 2015, 20 by 20 Apparel brings original tributes to pro wrestling's classic arenas, moments, and events. They look to spotlight the bloopers, bleeps, and body slams along with the biggest, smallest, strangest, and strongest that pro wrestling has had to offer. Along with their awesome line of pro wrestling apparel, they do offer many services. In the world of wrestling, there are hundreds of shirts, promotions, flyers, social media accounts, and ads. Don't get lost in the sea of parody shirts and display fonts. They can provide professional graphic design services at a reasonable price. 20 by 20 also hand screen prints all the tees in-house. If you would like to discuss possible run of tees, posters, koozies, foam fingers, or whatever, drop them a line. Go to 20 by 20 Apparel. That's the number 20x, the number 20 apparel.com. Now, let's get to the show.
Fresh is the word.
I'm Jim Duggan, got long wood for plenty hoes. I keep it fresher than fresh, but you already know. You suckers bummy, I'm money, I got a ton of flows. My weed loud like a motherfucking thunder roll. Your shit quiet like you ballin' on a budget though. We see your kicks and we laugh and yellin' what are those. You see me shining like a suit on puffy. You know my grindin' shit is too strong, buddy. That's why the dude call money. I be stuntin' like it's nothing at all. Cause it's nothing to me, it's probably something to y'all. Trying to smoke like me, then come and fuck with your dog. Got a closet full of kicks, you can't cop it tomorrow. And I'm fresher than the freshest, you can tell it's in my essence. Bitch, you see the way I'm rapping, yes I do this shit to death. Until I'm running out of breath, or tell somebody cut a check. But either way you know it's fresh, and either way you know it's fresh. Fresh, we fresh. Fresh, fresh, goddammit, we fresh.
Welcome to the Fresh is the Word podcast. I'm your host, Kelly K. Fresh Frazier, and this is episode 104. On this episode, we are joined by the London-based pop rock and punk band Dreamwife. Recorded backstage during their Detroit tour stop at the L Club, the members of Dreamwife, Alice, Rakel, and Bella, sat down with yours truly to talk about their rise to popularity, their humble beginnings, how the band got started, the roles of women in the music industry, and the discussions that still need to continue, along with their open call for women and non-binary artists in select cities to open their shows. So let's get on to the interview with Dreamwife. We're at the L Club in Detroit with Dreamwife. Please introduce yourselves.
Hey, I'm Rakel.
I'm Alice. And I'm Bella.
All right. I first heard of Dreamwife when the song Let's Make Out was started to blow up on BBC Radio, specifically with from Annie Mac on her show. And I was like, whoa, this is awesome. Like, how did it feel? Like, because you guys weren't, a band for that long to, for BBC Radio just to, start playing your record like that.
I mean, it's like we were kind of like this feral band for a while before we got kind of I guess more involved in the industry. I think we figured it out on our own terms for a year or whatever before actually people were that aware of us, and I think we were lucky to have that time. But yeah, it certainly feels like things have happened really quickly, especially since the album came out.
Yeah, I guess it was a great step for it not just to be a live sound, but to have interest from the BBC and Annie Mac and Hugh Stevens and other wonderful people that have played us a lot.
How did everybody meet?
Well, me and Bella met when we were 16 at a Battle of the Bands in a kind of village near where we lived in southwest England. But then I guess we moved to Brighton to study art, and then Bella and Rakel lived together. But do you want to continue to the next stage?
Well, that's how we met. Me and Bella randomly moved in together. We were all studying at the same art school in Brighton. And yeah, that's how we met.
We haven't met yet, Rakel. Yeah. We met through music. We're sisters of rock now.
How is it kind of growing up in a small village?
Isolating and you want to leave. I think it's like when you find people that are on your vibe, you want to hold on to them, and there's more in the world than just the way these people think in this old-fashioned place kind of thing. I think it makes you fight for stuff that you want in a sense. It makes you find that out, I think.
I think as a kid it was really great, you know, like a lot of freedom to like run around in fields and like yeah, but as a teenager it was really tough. Like there wasn't much in the way of culture. But I mean, I guess that's why we both ended up in bands during that time. It's like due to a lack of culture, you just kind of have to make your own.
Was there something about that upbringing that has like really been sort of the fabric of the band?
I mean, maybe it's this, maybe like I said, like that year, maybe when we were more of a feral band before, maybe we were involved with the industry so much. It was like a thing of figuring it out on our terms for ourselves. And I feel like definitely when you're growing up in a place that feels isolated from culture in a sense, it's like something where maybe that kind of like thicker skin and kind of figuring it out on your terms, that's definitely like carried through to this band. But I mean, yeah, I guess in other ways probably too, it's been extra exciting almost as well, because it's like we're in the world now and like this isn't the countryside anymore kind of thing. Like I mean, like, yeah, I think it's extra fun. But yeah, I don't know, maybe a kind of resilience to surrounding trends in a sense that like we stick to our guns and we know what path we want to follow for ourselves somehow. But I mean, there's so much more to it than just us growing up in the country to give us that, if you see what I mean. But
We definitely didn't grow up in LA. We're not part of that machine.
No.
we have our own type of machine. I'm from Iceland, but I don't think Reykjavik is countryside, but some people do.
When you get out of the small town, small village, like what's the first thing that you were doing? Like what? I know you had to just like be just kind of going, blowing up, like just kind of itching to do something. What was like the first things that you were doing?
I mean, really, it was just like taking joy in being able to like walk to the shops or walk to your friend's house or like being able to do anything past 6 o'clock in the evening. It was pretty mind blowing. I don't know what city kids like. What that's like. Can't imagine it.
Right.
To be around like stuff all the time.
Yeah, we were always just around stuff.
Yeah.
Like
That really sums it up, being around stuff.
yeah, there's stores right down the block, and there.
I mean, really, it was a lot of dancing.
I remember getting kicked out of Revenge.
Yeah, that was the first thing we did when we got to Brighton. Yeah, dancing, a lot of dancing. And being kicked out of a gay club.
Yeah, we got kicked out of the local gay bar as soon as we got into that city.
Oh, tell us about that.
I just remember us rolling around on the floor with like this fish bowl, which was a massive bowl full of vodka with loads of straws coming out. And we were just like
teams at each other. Just like these countryside freaks just like let wild somehow.
It was kind of like the rules didn't apply, but like we were figuring it out.
Yeah, we didn't really know how to behave in a club.
yeah.
This explains a lot about our first interactions, actually. You're just a couple of country girls.
We just don't know how to act. You're just like figuring it out as you go.
Remember that time you guys got black lipstick and put it on every single one in the after party after a show? I mean, there's been multiple times where that's happened. The black honey one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And everyone was covered in some kind of like black lipstick stains, and you didn't embrace, like you weren't like talking to anyone or I guess like whatever, hanging out with people. You were just like taking them aside and covering them in black lipstick. Yeah,
not just their lips, right? But other parts of their body.
Just the lips.
Oh, okay.
And
so
maybe some satanic signs around the cheeks.
Oh,
and
so you're just
forehead
making
as
everybody
well.
goth.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
You show up to party, make them goth, then leave.
I mean, I think it's a thing as well of like making your own fun. I think when there's like nothing to do, you make your own fun. I think like Bella said, you're drawn to maybe making music, or like Rakel said, it's like maybe the rules of like a club don't apply in the same way. And it's like this thing of making your own fun is definitely part of dream life as well. I think we're playful people in that way, and I think there's a creativity to like just doing things for yourself and approaching it creatively, and it's
regardless of whether that fits with the idea of what is like socially acceptable or what like culture says should be done in that situation.
Yeah, that's what I got out of the band from the moment that I heard Dream Wife was like, you guys are making your own fun. And like when you first started making music together, what was going on? What was the ideas that were sprouting out?
Actually, I'm wondering, before we answer this question, did you watch the video to Let's Make Out?
Oh, yes.
I think that's like captured the complete essence of basically, this is, of course, we take the music seriously, but there's so much element of play. And that video is like 50 friends of ours making out with each other at a glossy American prom, which was shot in a town hall or like community center in London.
Town hall or something, wasn't it? Like,
Right.
But this kind of idea of it being playful and fun and consent, and I'm glad you watched that video.
Oh, definitely. No, I loved that song as soon as I heard it, like from listening to Annie Mac's show, and I was like, dude, this is fantastic. Then I saw there was a video, and I was like, oh, I gotta watch this.
Wait, what's the question again? I forgot it. Sorry.
I
just want to talk about Let's Make Out.
Oh no, I was just saying how you guys create fun, you know.
I guess, I feel like that's some kind of summarizes it.
Yeah, summarize.
I mean, maybe another thing to say about that is, like, for instance, with the video for Let's Make Out, we worked with our friend Aidan Zamiri and Alex Russo on, she was styling, he was directing, and it's that thing of, like, inviting our friends, I think, into our creative realm to play. And it's that thing of it's a conversation, but we're all playing together, and it creates that vibe, and I think it shows through in the video, it shows through in the work we like to make, but ultimately it's about working with people that we trust and I think inspire us.
Right.
And more often than not, they're our friends, and I think that's something exciting about this project in a big way.
We also made loads of friends during that shoot. Like, we made so many more friends during that video.
I would think so.
We made a lot of friends. They also made a lot of friends. There was a few unexpected dates that happened, I presume, after that shoot. Yeah. But the same as well thing about allowing creativity not just to be the three of us or the four of us with our drummer, Alex, but also to trust other people's vision.
Yeah.
If you're on the same plan.
Yeah,
and you're both in it to trust each other and enjoy the fun.
Right. How important is like an aspect of community to Dreamwife and everything that you do?
I mean, like, completely important. I think it's like this project is so much bigger than us 3 people, us 4 people. It's about community. It's like this thing wouldn't exist without community. It's like, I think we have to acknowledge the people surrounding and supporting, because without that, this wouldn't be possible. And what would be the point of this as well? I think it's about those people. It's about the community and about what you can bring to that and the solidarity through that, I think.
Yeah, us 3 people are like the tip of the iceberg, you know. It's like the whole belly of the beast is like as much a part of it, you know.
Which is great because it grows. You know, the more you can play shows, the more songs you write, or, you know, we're only on our first debut album. And it's so great to be able to invite people into that world and let them roam free.
When you're out doing shows, you have all these people, come to your shows, people listening to your music, what do you hope your fans get out of listening to Dreamwife?
Fun. I hope they have fun. Word of the day. Fun.
We're Dreamwife and we're all about fun.
Fun.
I hope as well it brings a kind of empowering message to everyone in the crowd. We talk a lot about gender in our music and sort of about freeing yourself from it.
Yeah.
To not to be confined within that, and being able to express yourself, being able to feel safe in a space, be able to just be yourself and be with a bunch of strangers or friends in the crowd and have fun at a Dreamwife gig.
Exactly. I think it's totally a thing. If it's a safe space and people are respectful of everyone else there, fun is possible. And I think this is the thing, especially for women coming down to the shows. I think it's this thing of if women feel like that's a space for them as well, then everyone can have fun together. And I think, at a rock show, for a woman to be able to go in and feel comfortable, feel safe, is so important, because I think otherwise it's this idea of fun. Fun is actually something that I think for a woman at a rock show often can feel kind of, that wouldn't be the word necessarily you'd use if you were going to say a rock show alone or something. I think it's this thing of if everyone there can be there respectfully together, I think fun is possible. But I think fun isn't just a word that is like that, like there's the fun, like we're playing, there's the fun. I think it's about this message we're projecting of respect and safe spaces that allow for this fun to happen within that space. And I think it's about the conversations surrounding the show and the conversation we're having with the crowd at a show that allow for fun. And fun isn't just an immediate, like, easy thing. I think it's about respect.
Fun is something we build
yeah.
together with trust.
But yeah, it's kind of complicated.
But it's good in that way too. It's also about creating safe spaces for everyone, and also sort of like discussing as well, like, you know, toxic masculinity and positive aggression, and this kind of way of everyone to sort of to be on the same level at a rock show and feel safe and comfortable. I mean, comfortable, but feels like safe, and to be able to let themselves go without feeling the judgment of others,
Right.
or themselves.
A lot of those topics can be, you know, very stressful, have a lot of, take a lot of energy to really, you know, put it out there. Where do you find the strength to be so outspoken about all of this stuff?
I mean, I think it's just, this is the way it's coming out. I think it's a thing where, you know, we've been doing this project for probably nearly 4 years now, and I think it's something where the more we've done this, the more maybe our message has become apparent to us by doing it. And I think it's like it's a very kind of natural part of the performance to stand for these things and expect a safe space and reinforce that in the message, or reinforce the fact, you know, don't expect anything from yourself that society projects on you based on gender, whatever. I think it's all of these things are just, they're part of it at this point, that it's not something that just happened overnight where it was like, oh, we're going to enforce these messages at our shows. It just feels like it's part of it, and you couldn't take that away from the live show now, that it doesn't feel like it's an extra energy. It just feels like it is the energy, and that's all woven together at the show.
As well, like, I think when we're writing songs and music, like, honesty is such an important part. Oh, great hat, Hoppy. Excellent. But I think you can't always play the same show every night. You have a different audience. You're in a different place. You're in a different vibe. You're in a different mood. But I think it's just really important to keep that honesty within, or else it's just going to become, you know, you're talking into the mirror every day, which is the audience. And, you know, what is happening around you, or what you're feeling, or what you feel from the audience especially. Like, what kind of vibes are you getting? Embracing it and lifting each other up. And also, if you want to discuss stuff, discuss it. And if you don't want to, that's fine too.
What sort of feedback do you get from your audience about these very important subjects that you guys try to convey?
During one song in our set, there's one song called Somebody, which is a song that both it confronts rape culture, and it confronts the ideas of gender norms. And there's a lot of solidarity in that song, and understanding. And it's great, often after sets, and especially after that song, sometimes people feel as though that they can really trust you. And it's really interesting meeting people who come up to you and want to share an experience, or also want to say, like, that song really helped me, or your album, you know, has so much, like, something in there just makes me so happy. And it's really great to hear that kind of feedback. And when we say, like, one of the best compliments we can ever receive is when someone comes up to us and tells us, I want to start a band. Like, I love that. I don't play an instrument. I want to start a band. You're like, yeah, you don't have to play an instrument. Just call your friends and, you know, put something together.
And dance or something too. Yeah.
And just, like, do whatever you want to do. There shouldn't be these restrictions on you. And people feeling that there aren't restrictions on them, and them feeling empowered, and them feeling inspired, or them sort of just, yeah, I want to start a band. That's the best compliment.
That's fantastic. On this tour, you were offering the opening slot to either female bands or non-binary bands. Talk more about that idea.
I mean, I think for us, really, it's a matter of practicing what we preach. I think touring, it seems like, really, it was kind of just like, why haven't we been doing this already? You know what I mean? It was kind of like, we should have done this already. Why aren't we approaching every tour this way? I think when we have this platform, you know,
Big this year.
But I mean, I just mean it in terms of, like, when you're touring and you're standing for, you know, solidarity amongst women in music, whatever. It's it's really important, I think, for us to be touring in a way that actually reflects that and is feeding back into those communities and showcasing those communities. And I think the response we got, I think it was like 133 or something.
What?
433 responses to the submissions. It was like the fact there was that many, I think it only goes to show that, you know, these voices exist, this talent exists, but like where are the platforms for it? And I think it just seemed really important for us to tour this way, particularly for this tour, given how things have grown. But ultimately I think it's always been an amazing thing touring, tapping into kind of the local scene in the different places we go and seeing what's going on there. So it seemed really important to get, you know, local female non-binary acts to support us on this tour.
It's been great too. Yeah, it was 433 in 1 week.
Wow.
And that was just through our socials and a few other publications, mainly in England. And it was so amazing. It took us weeks to go through it all. And it was incredible seeing all the talent. And on this tour around the USA, it's our first headline tour.
Yeah.
This is like, we've never done this before. Not in this part of the world. You know, we're leaving our comfort zone from England and Europe. And
Yeah.
And it's great. It's been the most amazing trip. And as well, we're so happy we decided to do the submission, because every single night we're getting to know an amazing local band, and it's just it's made this trip worthwhile.
What are you learning from all of that?
What are we learning from all that?
Sorry, what are we learning from? Sorry, from what? I was just grabbing this drink.
From meeting these amazing bands, like
And
actually
having all the
experiencing
submissions
this.
and doing.
I mean, it just seems like it's kind of like, it's just this amazing thing, I think, that people wanted to engage with us in that way. And I think actually meeting the support acts so far, it's just great to have a chat with them. Like, you know, just about anything. It's great kind of these people that have come through this kind of competition, and that they're real people with real talent and these amazing songs that really you feel something from. And
Right.
I mean, it's just I don't know what to say. It's just real. You know what I mean? It feels like important to be face to face with these people, and I think supporting them directly in that way at a show.
It's also like we want to get to know them. We want to get to know them, like what's going on with you in this part of the world. And like especially tonight, we have a band called Non-Binary. They're just called Non-Binary.
Right.
That's their name. And they're so exciting, and we cannot wait to see them live. So like this kind of idea, and you know, you saw when we just met them, and it's just we get to meet all these incredible characters and friends that we hopefully will have, and bands that we can recommend, and like it's just great.
And it could kind of grow because, you know, there's a lot. You have all these festivals, but there's not a lot of women acts on these festivals. So the more you're doing this, the more it can kind of grow.
We wanted this to also be an open discussion for other bands, for promoters or festivals. We wanted this to sort of be like, hey, we got 433 in 1 week. There's a bunch out there. There are so many talented people.
Yeah, don't say there isn't any women out there.
Exactly. We got there's
Who's saying?
loads. And this is only from our channels. So it's like there's so much incredible raw talent out
Right.
there.
And what doing the submissions this way, like through social media and stuff, it's like this very direct communication between us and the bands that applied. So it's like completely bypassing all this kind of middleman industry sort of stuff where like I think a lot of really great bands just kind of get missed. Like we were reading about one band in the UK and they were saying that they never get booked to play with the male bands that come through, and then they try and get on the bill with like a kind of female fronted act, and the promoters are like, no, then the night will be too feminist. So it's like, how are you ever going to win
Yeah, it's a
then? If you can't
catch-22
play with the
that- yeah.
women because it's too girly, you can't play with the men because you're not taken seriously. You know, it's like it's exciting to be able to provide that like kind of direct link somehow.
When you're a band, you know, an all women band, has there been any sort of obstacles you've had to go through, you know, dealing with the treacherous waters of the music industry?
Well, we got our friend Alex Pavley on drums. He's had some pretty strange comments said to him as well. Yeah. We've been asked why we don't have a female drummer, which is really weird because Alex is our friend and he's a great drummer. So that's why it wasn't as if we decided to be a band just because we all the three of us have vaginas. That wasn't.
It isn't like you're not like specifically an all women band. You just happen to be three girls.
Yeah.
Three friends, you know.
And
It's not a hard like, rule, it has to be all girls in this band. No, you just happen to be.
It's this really difficult double bind though between being not taken seriously as a woman and being fetishized as a woman as well. So
Yeah.
it's like, kind of trying to find this place where you're not either of those things and you're just taken seriously. But yeah, I mean, it has been a struggle at times, and it is a struggle at times, but it's the way it is. And we're just incredibly lucky to have this platform that we have. It's like not that many women get to at this point. But yeah, hopefully.
But we've also earned it.
Yeah.
We've played a lot of live shows. But we've
I'm
tried to.
sure a lot of other people have earned it too,
Yeah. No, I mean just like
we're
lucky.
Earned it.
We're lucky in some ways, but I think also we've really worked hard to be able to be on the platform we're at as well.
I think it's that thing though. It's like we've worked hard, like on our terms. We've figured it out on our terms, and I think that's the thing where I think like early meetings we had maybe with like major labels and stuff. It's like before we'd figured it out on our terms, people trying to put you in a box or. Oh, you'd fit here, or you could be this, you could be that. It's like you're seen as a product rather than like an artist. And I think, I just think we're lucky to have had time to figure it out on our terms and be in this position now where we can like offer up support slots to female non-binary people and just be in a position to tour in this way with these songs that like are our songs. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it feels like it has been a lot of hard work, but yeah, definitely like good position right now.
How do you sort of deal with that, art versus it being a commodity, when you're trying to be a successful band?
I mean, the thing is, like, for us, really, we're in a position where I think, like Bella said, we've got this amazing team of people around us now that trust what we want to do. And I think they can help us project it in bigger ways than we've ever been able to before. But ultimately, it's like still the same seeds. It's still the same three people at the core of this. It's like just we're able to operate in a bigger way. And I think the actual workings of things haven't changed since the start. We're still the same three people. I think we've just figured out what we want to do a little bit more, and we can be more kind of like, I don't know, like to the point about that maybe, but ultimately it still feels like the same three people that were at art school trying to like rebel against the rules and did this thing that was just their thing. It's like, it's still that vibe, but we can just project it bigger now.
How important is it to have male allies in this music industry?
I mean, I think like the conversation of equality in the music industry is equally about men calling men out as it is about women calling men out or whatever. I think sexism, everyone has to be involved and on board. Definitely, men and women.
What sort of discussions do you hope will, come out of your time having this band, Dreamwife, and then whatever is just kind of coming out of these tours? What sort of discussions that you hope will continue to go on throughout the upcoming years?
I mean, hopefully just a continuation. I think it's this thing of like not letting discussions drop, because I think then things get forgotten about, and then I think the ways of the world just stay the same. And I think it's about continuing conversation, continuing that kind of transparency and within the industry. And I think change happens over time. Nothing happens overnight, and it's about everyone being on the same page, and hopefully that will make for change. But it takes time.
Looking at the few years that Dreamwife has been a band, what sort of sticks out in your mind is like those first early years, those early times of just putting the band together? What sort of sticks out in your mind?
I mean, we did this really weird tour of Germany. We were sleeping on like Flixbus, which is a bit like the Greyhound, I guess, or the Megabus. And yeah, this woman that we don't really know booked it for us, and we had like virtually no gear, and like every night was like a totally different, bizarre, and sometimes slightly frightening sort of situation. And there were some like pretty good shows, and then some shows where you're just like playing to kind of 5 drunk German men in like a very, very strange bar in a very small village
Oh.
in Bavaria.
Nice.
We once played in a Russian wedding hall,
Oh.
and it was they were feeding us trays of meats, and we were all vegetarians trying to say no. And they only spoke Russian, but we were in Germany. It was all very confusing, but we had a good time. And I think through like being in these situations where you have literally no idea what to expect every single day, where the Flixbus is going to drop us off. So be able to go through that and live to tell the tale, and also sort of find the humor in it, and being in, you know, situations where you're like, where are we? Why are we sleeping in hospital beds?
But yeah, I think that, like, definitely at that time, like, I think, like, those early tours where it was just us sleeping on, like, coaches doing our own sound every night, it was, like, that thing is what really, I think we found a major solidarity as a band through those tours.
Right.
And I think that was, I think if we hadn't done that, I don't think we would be the same band today. And I don't know what way, but I think it was, like, kind of like us earning our chops, but also, like, figuring it out, like, by ourselves, like, out in the middle of nowhere. Like, I think once we had a tour manager, once we had, like, this team around us, it's like touring feels really easy in a different way.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not the same, but touring feels like very different to back then. And I think that was just hard in different ways, but challenging in ways that I think has been it's really shaped what this project was, you know, and what it is.
To sort of wind down this interview, if you had to sort of like extract like a nugget of knowledge from your life and career in this band, you know, that anybody listening to this, doesn't matter if they know your band or even like music or whatever their artistic avenue is, and they could apply it to their life, what would that be?
To make your own rules.
Yeah, I don't think people often think that some person in a suit or some person who knows better or is older than you, or they're not right. They're not always right, and like go with your gut feeling. And if you don't think it's a good idea, don't necessarily feel the need to do it. Gut feelings. And also go look within your own community. Like there isn't going to be an answer waiting for you in New York or London, or like start with your local community, get like involved in that, or just message a bunch of your friends in a different country and say, hey, let's do something fun.
Great. All right, it's been great talking with you three. Where can people go online to get more information about Dreamwife?
Can Google Dreamwife, but it's going to be a pretty interesting Google search.
Oh, I bet.
We tried to get dreamwife.com. It was taken.
Wait, what was it?
I don't know. You saw it.
What's
I'm guessing
dreamwife.com?
It's a different kind of service than what we provide. So we got dreamwife.co.
Very, very different. Yeah.
So yeah, have an interesting Google search.
Right.
See what comes up.
Right. I'll do that when I get home.
Yeah.
All right, it's great. It's been great talking with you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
It's been really fun. Yeah.
So that was my interview with the women of Dreamwife. It was awesome to talk with them. All the links for where you can check out their music will be in the show notes for this episode at freshofthepodcast.com. So let's get on to the Fresh of the Word, Fresh Pick of the Week. This episode's pick is actually a band that was also on tour with Dreamwife, who I was incredibly impressed by during their Detroit stop. And this is the Los Angeles-based band Russo. The band is headed by Cailin Russo, who is the daughter of Unwritten Law's Scott Russo. Along with Cailin Russo, the band that only formed earlier this year includes Tyler McCarthy on guitar, Hayley Brownell on drums and backing vocals, and Sean Ritchie on bass. This band is just pure fun and doesn't take themselves too seriously with this great indie pop rock sound that is not only energetic, but also funky. Russo's EP, House with a Pool, is available now, and the link to purchase and stream it will also be in the show notes for this episode at freshofthepodcast.com. So that's another episode in the books. And before we get out of here, I definitely want to remind you how you can support the podcast. You can always go to freshthepodcast.com and share any links that you see on the website on any of your social media. I also want to give a shout out to Knox Money, Bang Belushi, and Foulmouth for the theme music for Fresh is the Word. And also, if you want to subscribe to Fresh is the Word, we're everywhere. We're on all the streaming platforms for podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Stitcher Radio, Mixcloud, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, Breaker, Castbox, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Podbean, and Radio Public. Go anywhere where there's podcasts, type in Fresh is the Word, and we'll probably be there. And please, leave a rating or review or whatever on any of those platforms, especially Apple Podcast. It would definitely help out the show and getting the word out there about getting the fresh word out there of Fresh is the Word. And also, if you want to follow me online, you can follow me at Kelly Omega Fresh on Twitter and Instagram, and at facebook.com/kfresh. And also, you can follow Fresh is the Word online on Twitter at FITW Podcast, on Instagram at Fresh is the Word Podcast, and on Facebook at facebook.com/Fresh is the Podcast. Another episode in the books. Thanks for listening. Goodbye and good night.
Fresh is the word.